Dobrý deň, vítajte. Vítaj predovšetkým Oksana. Oksana Zábuško. Ja som vedela, prečo to chcem dať na Evu. Oksana Blashkiv, prepáč, prosím ťa. Nie každá je Oksana, nie je Oksana ako Oksana.
It's a nice slip of the tongue.
Oksana Blashkiv bola taká láskavá, že pre nás pripravila, výborne editorsky pripravila číslo 1 tohto roku. Téma, o ktorej sme toho zase nevedeli tak veľa, alebo skôr z čítania, špeciálne sme sa ňou nezaoberali, Globálny kampus, akademická fikcia vo svetovej literatúre, sa tým priblížila nám a verím, že aj ľuďom, ktorí sa podujmú na čítanie časopisu a nadobudla teda aj takú väčšiu diferencovanosť, keďže prístupy boli skutočne rôzne a prišli z viacerých krajín. Ja nebudem hovoriť o tom, čo to číslo obsahuje, pretože tu je najpovolanejšia Oksana Blashkiv.
Mám plán. Ďakujem.
A ako aj ďalší autori a autorky, ktorí sa k nám láskavo pripoja online. Náš časopis teda má tú tradíciu, že sa snaží, aby aspoň základné texty boli slovenské a anglické. Takže mi prepáčte túto slovenčinu na úvod a ostatné nechám na Oksanu s tým, že poviem len welcome.
Thank you
very much for your cooperation. And dear guests, we can see you in picture now, but we know your text, so we are very happy to meet you today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jana. Thank you. Welcome everyone again. We are at the Institute of World Literature in the Slovak Academy of Sciences, and I was honored to be given the floor to introduce our issue to the audience. And the first question which I had to answer non-officially, and I thought maybe it would be a good idea to answer it also like officially, was the way we got here. Like, why did I choose the topic? Why did we all gather under one umbrella? Why is it anyway important? And I thought I would make a kind of introduction to the history, which is my personal journey with academic literature. And that one started in 2015 at the University of Gdańsk, where they held joint conferences, like 2 conferences together on academic fiction. On the slide, you can see the titles of these conferences, and that was the moment when I met most of the authors of this issue. And some of the other colleagues who joined us online, so thank you for that as well. The conference lasted for 4 days. It was a rare treat because we could not only listen to each other, but we could also learn about each other, get closer, find out what is interesting for us. As the result, so for me, that was the big friendship, several big friendships with people who I met there. And as an academic outcome, the conference brought 3 books. So you see them on my left, which means probably on your right, the 3 books edited by Merit Mosley and Ludmila Gruszewska-Blaim, Corina Selejan, and another one in Polish also edited by Professor Ludmila Gruszewska-Blaim. And this was my beginning. It was not the beginning for the most of the participants, though. For them, the journey started earlier in 2013 in Belgium, and probably Corina and Merit will talk about it later a little bit. And before that, the other 2 editors prepared the collection of essays based on that conference, which was Academic Fiction Revisited. And afterwards, the same editors prepared another book, which we quote so often, which is the Campus Fiction Regional or Global. So that was step number one. There were several more steps before we came here to the Institute of World Literature. And those were the smaller academic fiction seminars, which were held in Lublin, Krakow, Sibiu. It was online, but it was still in Sibiu. And the last one was the conference held by my university, which is the University of Siedlce, and particularly focused on otherness in European literatures. There, some of us married Corina, Julie, and Ella, who is saying hello from Białystok. She is at the conference now in Białystok, but she is with us in Hasselt, hopefully. Participated in a small academic fiction section. And since then, we were trying to find a journal who would like to have us all together published. It was not easy, but we got lucky. And the luck came from the Institute of Slovak Literature, from this same very room where last year I was invited to give a lecture on academic fiction in Central European literature. So that was the event, which was afterwards posted on Facebook in pictures. And when the next day I met Jana Cvikova in the doorway, she looked at me and said, like, so you started a discussion? Yes. And that was the first, or maybe the last step of this stairway, which got us to the journal, which would like to publish our papers on academic fiction. So I would like to thank here all the authors. I have profound gratitude to you that you agreed to submit your papers in such a short notice, and to reviewers who also worked hard to review your papers, and obviously, and last but not least, the editors, Jana Cvikova and Eva Kendereshi, and Charles Sabatos for managing the final stages of this publication. So my big and sincere and profound thanks go to you. So our journal looks like this. Hopefully you have it already in front of you. And I would like just to shortly, yes, thank you. I would like just to read a paragraph to shortly introduce the whole issue, and afterwards we'll go and give the chance to the authors to talk about themselves. So this is not the first time that non-Anglophone academic fiction has been addressed in different journals and volumes. Insightful contributions on the topic have appeared in nearly all the previously mentioned volumes, which you could see on the screen. And the present issue, however, focuses primarily on that non-Anglophone academic fiction. Importantly, the contributions engage with the generic conventions of English language campus fiction, which leads each article, lends each article a comparative dimension, albeit to a different degree. A global and transatlantic perspective is most evident in the articles by Merit Mosley and Anna Gajdaš. Cross-European comparisons are in the works of Corina Selejan, Edward Mengel, Julie Hansen, Paulina Shedikova, Chuhova, and Martina Kudalakova. A Slavic-centered focus informs the analysis of Polish, Czech, Bulgarian, Slovak, and Ukrainian academic fictions presented in the articles of Elżbieta Perkowska-Gawlik, Petr Hrtanek, Milena Kirova, and myself. And with this, I would like to give the floor to the authors. And the first one I would like to invite is Merit Mosley, who is Professor Emeritus at North Carolina University in Asheville, the United States. He is the author of numerous books on English and American writers, edited and co-edited numerous volumes on academic fiction, and we are very happy he continued working with us and accepted the invitation to participate in this volume as well. Thank you very much. And the floor is yours, Matt.
Thank you, Oksana. I'm very happy to be here today with all of you and to speak about the recent collection of criticism on the global campus, which Oksana has edited, and which included my own contribution. The fact that seems most important to me about this project, and which makes it a genuine step forward and a major contribution to the ongoing critical conversation about the academic novel, which Oksana has summarized quite nicely, or a campus novel or university novel, is its thoroughgoing internationalism. There has long been a tendency to think of the campus novel primarily as an Anglo-American phenomenon, a tendency that isn't really unreasonable given the preponderance of examples from the US and the UK. The widespread use of the English language perhaps also helps to explain this state of affairs. But for whatever reason, David Lodge, I think, to choose only one example, is very widely known wherever the campus novel is mentioned. Now, well-informed people have always known, or at least suspected, that there must be academic novels written in other cultures, where there are, after all, universities, academic rivalries, obstructive administrators, and sects, and in other languages. Still, the very low rate of translated texts in the US, to speak only of my own country, for instance, helps to explain why these books have not been very well known, at least to American readers. I'm still hoping for an English translation of Der Campus or the novel Ewald discussed. This is why the breakthrough of this moment, this collection on academic fiction in world literature, lies in its decentering of the British and American canon and its bringing together in one place scholarship on literary works in Czech, Polish, Romanian, Spanish, German, Swedish, and Bulgarian. This, to me, is radical. Though I've been reading university novels for a very long time, this collection has been eye-opening for me in a way that has left me excited about new prospects and new directions. As for my own essay, Globalism Then and Now, the Rise of International Neoliberalism in the Academic Novel, I contrasted two phenomena, both of which could be thought of under the rubric of globalism. The first was the small world phenomenon, air quotes, small world phenomenon of the period between the end of World War II and the beginning of the 1980s, which was marked in the US and the UK by the rise of Ronald Reagan and Margaret Thatcher, and the neoliberal politics that have spread widely to many other countries. The first globalism can be seen most clearly in Lodge's Small World, an Academic Romance, 1984, although it's a little belated by 1984, but nevertheless, and voiced by his character, Morris Zapp. The world is a global campus, Hillary. You'd better believe it, he declares. The American Express card has replaced the library pass. The global campus has rendered the traditional local university irrelevant, he believes. He says the day of the individual campus has passed. It belongs to an obsolete technology, railways, and the printing press. As long as you have access to a telephone, a Xerox machine, and a conference grant fund, you're okay. You're plugged into the only university that really matters, the global campus. Now, Zapp overstates the facility with which professors could enjoy this globalism and the displacement of traditional campus-based university. Most professors were not Morris Zapp, who is a highly paid academic superstar at a major research university, apparently free from mundane teaching responsibilities, and most of us did not travel the world as part of an elite international professoriate. But even at my modest state university, we had a telephone, a photocopier, and a modest travel fund, and my colleagues and I were encouraged to be part of a global exchange facilitated by globalizing development. I did not discuss the use of English. As the 1980s spread their chill through the remainder of the 20th century and on up to the current time, this cheerfully global outlook was replaced by another globalism, much more melancholy. That is the global reach of neoliberalism in governments and in higher education. The features I identified as affecting universities in the Anglo-American world, and thus in the campus novels that spoke to that world, and in the university systems of countries like Slovenia, Australia, Ireland, and South Korea, were marketization, privatization, managerialism, the audit culture, deterioration in faculty status, and the decline of the humanities. A university where a growing administration presides over a declining faculty, cowed and exhausted by incessant demands to prove their value by numerical audits, where students are regarded as consumers of services marketed to them by the university, where the classics, philosophy, English, and foreign language departments are treated as parasites on the important functions of the university like STEM studies, grant getting, athletics, student affairs, and public relations, or where public-private partnerships distort the university's mission into naked workforce preparation, this university can be anywhere, and probably is everywhere. I have called the academic novel the canary in the coal mine of higher education, so I expect and hope that university novels are being written in Slovenian and Korean and wherever neoliberalism rules education to portray these developments, to describe and probably satirize and deplore this 21st century globalization. I didn't mention this in my article, but I should note one other kind of globalization, I guess, and that is what we're doing right now. The internet, unforeseen by people like Morris Zapp and Fulvio Morgana, has done more than the telephone or the photocopier or airplane travel to shrink the academic globe. Today, in today's event, we're all either European or North American. But Karina's conference on campus nostalgia, which Oksana mentioned a little while ago, in 2021, had participants from India and Japan, as well as Europe, the UK, and the US. We no longer have to come to Bratislava to share ideas with each other. Admittedly, in-person conferences are more enjoyable and do much more for the intangible aspects of global academic exchange, and I wish we were together in Bratislava or somewhere to be reunited with old friends and to meet new ones. But in a chillier world where professors' travel is not likely to be funded as generously as during the high tide of the global campus, the Internet Conference, which abolishes constraints of space but not time, it's just breakfast time over here, is probably going to be the response to the immiseration of the professoriate dictated by globalized neoliberalism. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for this kind of introduction and presentation of your article, Merit. And I would like to go next with Karina Selejan, an associate professor at Jean Blaga University of Sibiu, Romania. She authored numerous articles on campus fiction and co-edited 2 volumes of papers, and the last being just mentioned on academic nostalgia, published in East-West Cultural Passage. And she will present her article herself. Welcome.
Hello, thank you for having me. I would just like to say at the very beginning, if Eva Kendereshi is there, a very, very big thank you to Eva for not just for making me feel at home in her emails. She speaks Romanian, but also for all for her professionalism and patience with me. And also to the reviewers. And I just wanted to say this whole thing started, for me, Merit, it started in 2013 when we met in Ghent. But it started because of one person who is not here today, but many of you might know her, Marta Wisik, right? She used to be based in Poland, but now she's in the US. And she brought us together for the first time then in Ghent, and then we saw each other in Vienna and so on and so forth, and then Gdansk and everything else. So thank you to these people. And also, well, I would like to remember our friend Arthur Bleim, who is no longer with us, but who was also part of the gang. Okay, about my article. I went out of my comfort zone and I went into magical realism, which is not really my field, but you know, about what Merit said, translations, and the fact, you know, Merit has said over the years, I wish I could read this novel. I wish I could, that you're talking about in your article, or somebody else, right? It's happening. Right after this one was published, I was contacted by Kim Anderson-Sasser from Wheaton College, who is a big name in magical realism, and now she wants me to actually translate a Romanian short story, a magical realist Romanian short story. So thank you to World Literature Studies for being open access and for being so, for advertising this issue. It's already happening, right? The networking, although in a different direction. So my paper was about three magical realist novels, Romanian ones, with occasional parallels to, for example, Heinz's The Lecturer's Tale and so on. But, compared to Heinz's The Lecturer's Tale, the Romanian novels are much, much wilder, right? The thing is, so I tried in a very lengthy introduction to connect these things: magical realism, post-colonialism, and post-communism, because post-communism has recently appropriated some of the terminology of post-colonialism, but always with with that kind of wariness of not being overwhelmed by a Western ethos or by Western terminology and so on. Just the kind of wariness we have in this circle when we talk about, Eastern European novels, but applying Western terminology, like the academic novel, for example. So I chose three novels from the latest development of the Romanian academic novel. And I tried to show how there are very, very extreme instances of othering the academic. And it's really scary when you come to think of it, because we are seen as vampires sometimes. So there is an academic who's seen as a vampire. There is another one who turns into a Kafkaesque kind of cockroach, and then manages to uproot the whole corrupt structure of the University of Bucharest. Then there is another one who sadly turns into a gorilla, and then finally one that turns into a standalone eye, right? And these are very, very extreme instances, and I tried to, to find out where that came from. My conclusion was, to cut it short, that it's really, although it's an othering from within, because these three novels were written by three academics, obviously, they were, so it was an othering from within, but it also showed a kind of internalization of an exterior label that's been attached to Romanian academics throughout time, right? There would be a lot more to say. I just wanted to say that it was interesting because each of the three novels came from one of the three different historical principalities of Romania, and each has a very different colonial relationship to the Ottoman Empire, to the Habsburg Empire, to the USSR, all of them, obviously, the Russian Empire before that, and so on. So it was quite a journey out of my comfort zone and so on. But if the campus novel doesn't foster these kinds of journeys into, then which genre, right? I think this is the right genre to do these things, to just branch out and to see what's out there. Okay, it's very, very good to see you all again. I'm so happy to see your faces again, right? Last time I saw you was in 2021. And it was still 2D like today, but it's better than nothing. I missed you all. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Karina.
Thank you.
Thank you. And the next author who contributed his paper to this issue is Petr Antene. So you have a presentation you would like to share,
Yes.
right? Hopefully everything goes well and we will be able to see your presentation. In case I need to go with the request of permission, then maybe somebody will do it for me. Meanwhile, I would like to say that Petr Antene is an associate professor at Palacký University in Olomouc, Czech Republic. His research is in the field of contemporary British prose, British Jewish literature, and young adult literature. And he's an author of several books, one of which is Campus Novel Variations, a comparative study on Anglo-American genre, which came out in 2015. Sorry, I forgot to change the slide. It originated as the author's PhD dissertation. So the floor is yours, Petr, and then we go back to Marta Koval. I'm sorry, I saw you the previous minute and then I didn't see you anymore, so I switched the order.
Oh, okay, it's no problem because I keep it's plugged in a little bit later.
Well, thank you. So you're here. Thank you very much.
Yes, I'm here.
So Petr.
Okay.
Welcome.
Yeah, so you should be able to see the presentation, right?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so thank you so much, Oksana, for your introduction and for putting this whole thematic issue together. The title of my paper is The Inhospitable City, a Spanish View of Oxford in Javier Marias's All Souls. And like you said, that my interest in the campus novel started with my PhD dissertation. It was actually some 10 years ago when one of the reviewers of my dissertation pointed out that there are some Spanish campus novels I had not been aware of at that point. Yeah, so finally last year I used this coincidence, when I had the opportunity to contribute to this thematic issue, and I finally read Javier Marias's novel. So All Souls is a 1989 novel by the Spanish writer and translator of English literature into Spanish, Javier Marias. The novel was translated into English in 1992. Loosely inspired by Marias's stay at Oxford, the novel is narrated retrospectively by an unnamed visiting professor of Spanish. On one level, All Souls exemplifies the campus novel as a comic and satirical genre, highlighting various follies of Oxford academics, such as self-importance and adherence to rituals, from the point of view of an outsider and foreigner. The text also touches on the widely held national images of England and Spain by comparing social conventions in general as well as in academia. Because of the distance, social distance, Oxfordians keep from both their students and people outside their social circle. The Spanish narrator finds Oxford and this is a quote from the novel, immutable, inhospitable place. An inhospitable place that does not change or develop in time in terms of reacting to social change. Another important element that develops the international theme of the text is the love affair between the narrator and his English colleague Claire, who, however, is not interested in keeping in touch with him after he leaves Oxford. After his return to Madrid, the narrator gets a job in finance, which is one of the elements of the story that does not correspond to the author's, Javier Marias's, life. All Souls is thus one of the many campus novels where the protagonist leaves the academia in the end. At the same time, by means of its serious themes of illness and death of two of the Oxford dons and narrator's friends, the text transcends the generic boundaries of the contemporaneous campus novel as a comic and satirical text. The novel's title, All Souls, thus refers not only to the name All Souls College, but also to the souls of the characters. Moreover, the novel is innovative by means of its use of intertextuality, as it implies the narrator's experience may be similar to the biography of an author he studies, namely John Gosworth, which is a pseudonym for the British poet and short story writer Ian Fitton Armstrong, who lived in between 1912 and 1970. Both the treatment of serious themes and elaborate employment of intertextuality become more common in later Anglophone campus novels. So in terms of the serious themes, I was thinking, for example, of Philip Roth's novel, The Human Stain, which is an American campus novel published somewhere around the year of 2000, or in terms of intertextuality and the relations between scholars and authors' lives, I was thinking of A.S. Pyatt's novel Possession, which I believe was first published in the original English in 1990. The widespread tendency among academics to interpret All Souls as a Roman à clef, as discussed in detail in Marias's later text, Dark Back of Time, which some actually have classified as a novel, but in fact it's a blend of a fictional and non-fictional text, and it's really mainly a reflection on the sources of and reactions to All Souls, so it is kind of a follow-up text to All Souls. The tendency among academics to interpret All Souls as a Roman à clef suggests the inability, or perhaps rather unwillingness, to distinguish fiction from facts. While some readers may be worried about being identified with not particularly positive character in a novel, others may hope to become more reputable if a character in a novel is based on them. And in Dark Back of Time, Marias actually suggests the latter was the case of Francisco Rico, a Cervantes expert who provided inspiration for the minor character of Professor Del Diestro, who's really just an episodic character in Marias's novel All Souls, who just visits Oxford to deliver a lecture at some point during the year that the narrator, the unnamed narrator, is spending at All Souls College of Oxford. As autofiction as a form of fictionalized autobiography continues to be a popular novelistic subgenre, reading campus novels as roman à clef reveals the academia as an insular social world whose members expect to be remembered by their colleagues. So, in summary, published more than 3 decades ago in both the Spanish original and the English translation, at a time when the only means of communication were letters and phone calls, All Souls provides contemporary readers with much food for thought, I believe. Academic institutions nowadays are hopefully more appreciative of international cooperation and hardly isolated from the rest of society to such an extent as Marias's picture of Oxford, in part due to the recent technological developments. Still, the novel may even today serve as a reminder of the necessity for the university not to close its gates. So, thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And to continue, I will talk about the contemporary condition of the university. We go back to the US. And I would like Marta Kowal.
Oksana, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
You
It's
need to
getting
go.
longer and longer, and I'm expected back by 15 hours. I would have to leave without being able to read my 6 minutes. I've just 6 minutes. If Marta doesn't mind,
Marta,
Sure.
do you mind?
could we perhaps
Yes,
change the
please.
order? So
Yes.
otherwise, I would have to leave you without saying something. That would be a great
Yeah,
pity.
no problem. Go ahead.
No problem. We don't
I'm
want that.
chairing BA examinations in Slien right now, and I'm expected back to sign the protocols and so on and so on. My colleagues
Okay,
are
so
waiting for me.
We stay in Europe then, people. We are not going to the US. We are staying
I'm
in
sorry.
Europe.
I'm sorry
Uh,
for that.
And
No problem.
Eva Mengel is a professor of Tomáš Bata University in Zlín, Czech Republic, also affiliated with the University of Vienna. His research interests are English, historical novel, modern English drama, translation theory and cultural transfer, contemporary South African novel, English novel from the 18th to the 20th century. And he was authored, edited and co-edited numerous books. And I'm so happy. Last year, he agreed to write an article on the German campus novel and was the first to agree to contribute to this issue. So you are kind of my lucky I don't know, lucky author, because after that, after you agreed, other people decided to join in. So this is how we got the issue. So you're welcome. Eva, please.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry for violating the order, but I'm pressed for time. We wanted to be later, but we are now earlier with the examinations and I have to sign these things. The others are waiting for me. Okay, I want to cut myself short and I will only take about 6 minutes. At the end of my essay, I'm beginning with the ending, you will find a long list of German college novels that have appeared in Germany in the last 25 years or so. I owe this list to my colleagues Helmut Grugger and Stefan Neuhaus, who are editing a compendium of the German college novel that is to appear this year. To this compendium, which deals with an amazing number of German college novels and also holds an international section and a thematic section to which some of us here have made a contribution, Merit and Corinna. I know for sure. I have added 2 short essays on Coetzee Disgrace and Mlongo's Dog Eat Dog. I found Musknug's nächstes Semester wird alles anders on this list of Grugger. So my essay came into being because I communicated with these 2 German colleagues. Now, the socio-political context of my novel here. Although German university novels have been written since the 17th century, so it seems, the rise in numbers in the last 35 years or so is amazing. One possible explanation for this trend seems to be the popularity of Dietrich Schwannitz's Der Campus, which appeared in 1995. By the way, I know Dietrich Schwannitz. I knew him well because we were colleagues at Freiburg University and we communicated about the application of sociological role theory to literature. He on Shakespeare, I on Harold Pinter. Another reason is that this genre is indeed a canary in the coal mine of the university that strongly reacts to changes in the university landscape, as Merit has pointed out. All over Europe, the last decade of the 20th century and the first of the new millennium saw university reforms that have made deep incisions into the structures of this old system, especially in the course of the implementation of the 1999 Bologna Declaration and the introduction of a new study architecture. Musknug's text falls into the category of autofiction, in this case of the type that uses the autobiographical as a means of constructing authenticity. As we can read on the inside of the book's front cover, Muskenuk studied art history, not architecture, art history, religious studies, and Byzantine archaeology, and did her PhD in art history at the University of Heidelberg, exactly like her nameless protagonist and first-person narrator. This relationship suggests that the character should be taken as a persona of the author herself. Quite an important clue of what we have before us is given by the book's paratext. It is published by Fisher Publishers, but the graphics of the yellow cover will remind legions of students, German students especially, of the cheap Reklam Universalbibliothek series, mostly dealing with classical German writers. All in all, these graphic details also point towards one of my central assumptions in this essay, the fiction of authenticity and the realization that authenticity is, like the truth, after all, an artificial construction. Muskenuk's text is about the crisis in the humanities. The memoir seems to be confirming the prejudices of those who have always claimed that studying at university is a waste of time, and that young people should be applying themselves to something more useful or profitable. The world of the university in Muskenuk's view resembles a pleasant heterotopia with special space and time structure. It is a protected space where young people of today are provided for and looked after, need not work too hard, and have much time on their hands to try themselves out and indulge in their hobbies and pastimes. This picture of student life under a bell jar that Muskenuk's memoir suggests claims to be authentic, but it is doubtful whether it is a truthful reflection of reality. The authenticity that Muskenuk's book constructs and to which it owes its success is more an expression of the nostalgic longing for the genuine and the true, which in the age of fake news and artificial intelligence threatens to become a precious good. Comparable to other campus fiction written in the last 3 decades, it also examines the university in relation to society at large. Following Lodge's Nice Work, Coetzee Disgrace, Mlongo's Dog Eat Dog, and Coe's Middle England in this respect. All of these texts are only partly campus novels, for they all reach beyond the campus and are embedded in the social and political context of their time. What Muskenuk shares with these authors is their lack of enthusiasm for academia and their critique of its shortcomings. So, instead of a conclusion, to wind this up, I started my university life in 1969. That would be a bit too early. In 1969, when I became a student, and I am still teaching at the university today. Consequently, my memoirs, which I have been writing for 20 years by now, fall into the category of campus fiction. They bear the title Afterlife, to be understood in a double sense of the phrase, namely, first, implying a claim for authenticity and verisimilitude, and second, will I be able to publish them only after my real life has ended, because I'm saying so many things about my former colleagues that I have to be afraid of being taken to court if they still catch me alive, I'm afraid.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And don't be angry that I have to leave you to join my colleagues examining.
Thank you very much for running away
for
from
that,
us.
because it's going on the whole week.
Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for the contribution and good luck with the exams, of course.
Thank you very much. I'll let this run. I think the conference is being recorded so that I can listen to what you have to say.
Afterwards, yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye. Okay, so can we move to Marta Koval finally, the third attempt?
Mhm.
My father was always saying that never happens with the first two attempts. You always have to wait for the third one. So maybe finally we move to the US. And Marta Koval is one of the organizers, actually, of the conference, which was so important in my life, as it turns out, organized in Gdańsk in 2015. And her research interests include post-war American fiction, historical novel in the late 20th and early 21st century, immigrant and exiled fiction, American ethnic fiction, memory studies, and transcultural studies. She has authored 3 books, the latest being the Frameworks of Memory in Recent American Fiction, Narratives of East Central European Immigrant Experience. And for this issue, Marta proposed a very interesting study on Susan Choi's novel, A Person of Interest. So welcome, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. So the third time is typically lucky, and it works out when something happens for the first time, always. At least this is one of the superstitions here in Central East Europe. First of all, I would like to thank Oksana for inviting me to contribute to this issue. As you might have understood from her presentation, I am not in the gang writing about campus novel. However, when Oksana sent me a call for papers and asked if I had any idea and if I could contribute, I immediately thought about Susan Choi's novel, A Person of Interest, because I believe that this is a novel which integrates campus fiction in the narrow sense of the word, also showing how showing the process of hybridization, showing how American fiction, in fact, belonging or identified as part of any category or genre, in fact, integrates the elements which come from other categories or genres, and very clearly exhibits a political slant, political and social slant, which is observable and, in fact, almost unavoidable in contemporary American fiction. And I think that those changes which have been taking place in the United States recently, and the position in which American academia found itself, echo that novel, and that novel resonates very well in contemporary United States. But also would like to add that I very much support with what Professor Mosley said about the current situation with at universities and the current position of humanities, which is painful and which will have far-reaching consequences we are maybe not aware of. Well, in fact, in Poland, we are witnessing those consequences, and we witnessed them very clearly on Sunday during the presidential election. I also would like to thank Oksana for being so persistent. I'm a terrible author to work with. I have to be reminded about, asked. I miss deadlines. No, I don't miss them. I have them in my notebook. I remember that they are there, but they are there and I'm here. So somehow not very often, our paths do not overlap all the time. But Oksana has been extremely patient, and I'm very grateful to her because well, the result of our cooperation is the article, and I was very happy to find myself in this wonderful company of international company of prominent scholars, and from whom I can certainly learn a lot. So I wrote an article about American University in the aftermath of 9/11 in, as I've mentioned, Susan Choi's novel, A Person of Interest. And although the novel is at the center of the main focus of my article, I also compare it with other American campus novels, trying to focus on Susan Choi's novel peculiarities. Susan Choi is the writer who has a very specific background, because she is like second generation immigrant, and she grew up in an academic family. Her father was a professor of mathematics in one of American universities. So she was exposed to those discussions going on in academia and in the families from which academics come. The novel was also very important for me because it presents a microcosm of the post 9/11 world and post 9/11 America. I used the moral panic theory to explore how surveillance invades personal privacy, stripping individuals of their humanity and reducing them to suspects. And I tried to show how how academic environment, the environment of the university, the environment which we believe to be critical, pragmatic, analytic, all of a sudden becomes very vulnerable and very responsive to the pressure of from the outside, to the pressure of witch hunting and surveillance, which became part of became part of everyday life in the United States after 9/11. Susan Choice creates a text which suggests that living under constant pressure, whether due to race, ethnicity, or political climate, can profoundly impact an individual's sense of self. The protagonist of the novel, Professor Lee, and here we have this most common Asian name, is not a likable person, but the situation evokes sympathy because he becomes a symbol of the many who, like him, live in a society that views them through a lens of cultural superiority. And even though Lee, innocent of the bombing, he behaves and expresses attitudes which sometimes appear evasive or guilty. And he becomes the victim of political profiling and becomes an FBI's person of interest. The author of the novel, Susan Choice, shows very well how suspicion and surveillance can destroy an individual's personality, how academia becomes vulnerable, how it is not able to defend itself against political pressure, and how political pressure intrudes into everyday life of an American university. American university in the novel, American campus, becomes a place of fear, a place of suspicion, although in fact, what Susan Choi writes about is human weakness, is jealousy, unfulfilled love. And the novel turns out to be, I think, an awesome mixture of those different themes, which taking place against the background of American academic life, become even more acute and acquire different new dimensions. I think that will be all as far as I'm concerned. And I certainly would like to thank the Slovak Academy of Sciences for putting together this this volume, doing the editing, etc. All of us know that it's how difficult it is to put together a volume and to bring it to the final page, to the published product. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marta. And we are moving slowly to our next author, who is Julie Hansen. Julie, are you there? Because I feel like I'm losing people on the way.
I'm here.
Oh, okay.
Hello.
Julie is a professor of Slavic languages, specializing in Slavic literatures and comparative literature at the Department of Modern Languages at Uppsala University. Her research interests include multilingual literary studies, translation studies, and memory studies. She specializes in the 20th, 21st century literature and work in the field of Slavic literature and comparative literature. Her article focuses on the Swedish academic fiction, and I must tell you, Julie, you've been most popular here with your article.
Oh.
So you're welcome.
Thank you. As a newcomer to this group and this field of specialization, I feel very honored to have been included in this issue. So thank you, Oksana, and everyone at the journal who contributed to making it such a wonderful and rich final project. I have to say, I've edited several special issues myself and also contributed to them. I've never seen a special issue come together so quickly as this one did.
This is Jana and Eva. The teamwork, okay, without you wouldn't have happened.
Yes, and you all maintained good spirits throughout in your communication with us. When I got the invitation to contribute a year ago from Oksana, I had promised myself not to take on any more research commitments until I had finished the ones that I already had. But Oksana asked in a way and presented the idea in such an interesting way that I couldn't refuse. And this then required patience on Oksana's part as editor, because I needed more time. But I'm very glad that I didn't miss the bus, so to speak. And I have been reading this issue with great pleasure, and I'm learning a lot from all of you. I also want to say hello to the colleagues in Bratislava at the Institute of World Literature in the room with Oksana. I can't see you, but I know you're there, and I remember fondly my own visit to your institute in February of last year.
Hello.
Okay. So let me tell you a little about the topic of my article. I should also explain that this is the last week of the spring semester in Sweden. I don't know if this is true, but I've heard it said that Sweden has the longest semesters of any country in Europe, 20 weeks long, which makes it feel like a marathon in the last week. I haven't had time to write out and time my talk as I would have liked to. Though I have prepared comments, and Oksana, feel free to interrupt me if I take more time than I've been allotted.
I won't, but okay, thank you.
So, the novel I analyze is written in Swedish. It's entitled Vård, skola och omsorg, which can be rendered literally as healthcare, schools, and social services, although it has not been published in English translation. It came out in Sweden in 2021, so it's quite recent. As a reader, I was curious about it because the plot takes place at a fictional version of my own university in the town of Uppsala. The author, Linn Spross, grew up here. She was born in 1989, so born into the age of globalization and new public management that Merritt traced so well for us. In 2016, Spross defended her dissertation in economic history and then had a position as a postdoc researcher at Uppsala University, until she decided to change career paths in 2019. At that point, she had already debuted as a novelist in 2013. Like the protagonist of this novel, Spross enrolled in the nursing program and began working on the side in home care services, caring for the elderly. In media interviews, she has stated that the book was inspired to some degree by her own experiences, but that it is not autobiographical. As she put it, quote, "The appeal of writing fiction is that you can dramatize, make up things, and exaggerate as much as you like. It would have been a very boring book if I had written an accurate and nuanced account of my time in academia," unquote. Nevertheless, I am sure that academic readers find much that they can relate to in this novel. As a literary scholar, I was interested in this novel's genre characteristics, which I argue in my article offer a new twist on the traditional campus novel. I offer background and a definition of the campus novel in my article, but I won't spend time on that now because the others who have spoken before me have described it so well. But let me just tell you briefly about the novel. It consists of 35 short chapters, which alternate between two periods in the narrator protagonist's life. There are chapters narrated in the present tense, where she works as a home care aide and is also mother to a toddler. The other chapters are narrated in the past tense, and they tell of Julia, that's the protagonist's name, her life as an academic when she was a graduate student and later a postdoctoral researcher. Not in economic history, which was Sprose's subject, but in a fictional Department of Cultural History at Uppsala University. By switching between present and past tense, as well as between settings, the novel's form creates a contrast between two types of work: academic work and work in healthcare services. And this implicitly invites readers to compare the working conditions and environments of these two very different professions. Just a moment, I'm going to look at my notes here. So in my article, I argue that this novel exhibits several features of the traditional academic novel. It's partly set on a university campus, the one from which I'm joining you today, or a fictionalized version of it. And it depicts hallmarks of academic life, such as research seminars, a dissertation defense, and there's also satire. What is new about this novel, I hold, is that at the same time it launches a detailed critique of working conditions in academia today and proposes an alternative to it with a focus on the work ethic. And Sprose does this by drawing not only on the campus novel genre, but another more recent genre, which is referred to as quit lit. These are essays in which authors explain why they have left academia. I imagine you are familiar with this genre as well. It appears often in blogs, online, in publications such as the Chronicle of Higher Education. If campus novels offer a window on universities, academic quit lit can be said to show academia in the rearview mirror. It contains more than personal complaints, however, as many authors of these quit lit essays use their personal experiences and also often painful experiences. They write of their disappointed expectations and ideals of academia, and then take that as a starting point for a systematic critique of the academic workplace. One scholar, Francesca Coyne, whom I quote in the article, argues that quit lit, quote, transforms the act of quitting into a political process whereby the subject abdicates its competitive rationality to embrace a fundamental loyalty to different values and principles, unquote. And this is what, in my interpretation at least, Sprose does in her novel about quitting. And interestingly, Sprose's research interests, her published research, deal with working conditions in Sweden, the history of working conditions in Sweden. So she's obviously had a scholarly interest in what she depicts in her novel, and not only personal experience of the academic workplace. As has already been mentioned today, campus novels not uncommonly end, I think it was Peter who mentioned this, not uncommonly end with the protagonist leaving academia, but it is rarer to have depictions of what comes after that. I think, for instance, of Professor Penin in Vladimir Nabokov's novel, Penin, where he drives off, but we don't learn anything about what happens to him after that. That's not the case with Sprosa's novel. We see her working in her new profession, which is an example, as she has put it in an interview, of downward mobility. She's given up societal status. She never had job security because she only had a limited contract as a postdoc researcher. But the profession at least offers the possibility of a higher salary, titles, and social status, which home healthcare aides do not enjoy in the same way. But in exchange, and this is depicted in the novel, she gains clear boundaries between work and free time, a sense of meaning and usefulness to society, and a better work environment. I'm not going to spoil the ending for you in the hopes that it will be translated one day. But I will tell you that it has a happy ending, which I also see as a new twist on the campus novel. I'll end there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. At least we know now that academic novels can end with happy endings, which is something. I must tell you, dear friends, are 15 minutes till the end, so we have 15 minutes left, and for that matter, I will have to present the rest of the authors shortly, so that we have at least a little bit of room for the questions. And the next author who we missed here, who sends us regards from Białystok, is Elżbieta Parkowska-Gawlik. She's associate professor at Maria Curie-Skłodowska University in Lublin. Her research includes contemporary Anglophone literature with a particular focus on campus novel, and in particular academic crime novels, narratology and cognitive narratology. She has authored a book under the title The Contemporary Academic Mystery Novel, and her article in particular focuses on the Polish mystery novel. And to know how interesting it is to read the Polish academic mystery, you will have to go and check her article. But I must tell you that this Polish focus is a little different from the accepted Anglo-American variant, so hopefully it stirs enough attention and makes you actually open the article. The second person is sending her regards from Germany, is Anna Gajdosz, who is affiliated with the Boris Hrynchenko Kiev Metropolitan University and University of Leipzig at this point, and she has presented a comparative study of the academic drama, which Eva would be happy to comment on probably. And in her article, she also tries to look from the perspective of aging as a cultural construct, and in which way it is represented in contemporary American and Ukrainian drama. The other author who I'm particularly happy to have in this group of authors in the journal is Petr Hrtanek, and he contributed with a very interesting topic, which is Czech campus novel and Univerzity in recent Czech literature, making a special overview of academic fiction in Czech literature, starting in the early 1930s and moving on to the present days. He's a professor at the University of Ostrava, the head of Department of Czech Literature and Literature Studies, and we were really lucky to connect with him and to manage the time so that he could contribute this piece to the journal, to the issue. The next two authors are my dear colleagues from Matej Bell University in Banska Bystrica. I'm saying my dear colleagues because I feel kind of in a connection with Banska Bystrica since due to them I had a chance to stay in Slovakia for several times for different academic weeks. So it was most productive for me personally, and I always feel very nice in Banska Bystrica. So Paulina Szedikova-Čuchova and Martina Kubelakova authored an article on Perlsman Silence, which is the novel of the German, I forgot not the German, but it's written in German, of Pascal Mercier. And the interesting thing here is that this is the book which also has been translated by Paulina Szedikova-Čuchova, so we can actually read it in Slovak, and in addition to English translation.
In German.
Or in German, yes, in the original. But the thing is, referring to the previous speakers, like we miss the translations from other languages, and this is the case when we actually have translation. Maybe in the next months, we will all receive the propositions for translating our academic novels, and hopefully that will bring us together again for another journal issue in the future. They look into the novel as from the perspective of the crisis of the academic world and such, the burnout that accompanies the life of the academics, and the ways how to overcome it, also, among other things, through translation. Which they have particular interest in, since they are working on the project which is called Invisible Characters, the fictionalization of translation and interpreting in literary fiction. And last but not least will be the contribution of Milena Kirova, a Bulgarian scholar, a specialist in Bulgarian and literature and biblical studies from Sofia University, Bulgaria, who also gave us a kind of an overview article about campus fiction in Bulgarian literature, which she sees as the professors' novels, or novels written by professors, which do not have to be at the same time connected to the university or an academic world in general. So that would be our authors, and you can particularly now pay attention to their work in the journal. And again, I would like to thank you, authors, very much for contributing your papers to the issue. And again, many thanks to the editors and to this institution who hosted us today. And we would be happy to take questions if there will be any.